Marina was the kind of woman everybody liked. She was humble, cheerful and respectful. If you entered her house in Soka, be sure to leave with something. She believed in keeping a peaceful home, and she always told people, marriage is sweet where husband and wife understand themselves. For years, she and Patrick looked like the perfect pair. He was reserved and spoke with the confidence of a businessman who had made it in life. He owned shops at the main market and had built them a fine duplex in a quiet neighborhood. Neighbors used to point at them and say, God really blessed that woman with a good husband. But after several years of being together, Marina started to notice things that didn't sit well with her. Patrick was no longer the man who used to gist with her while she cooked. Before, he would follow her into the kitchen, open the pot of soup and taste it even when she wanted him to wait until food was ready. Those little playful habits were gone. Now, Patrick hardly smiled at her. He ate quietly, staring into his phone as if she wasn't there. Some nights he would claim he was working late and go to bed without touching her. Marina thought it was normal stress from business, but her heart told her something deeper was wrong. One Saturday evening, after they've eaten yam and egg sauce, Marina tried to draw him out. Pat, you don't gist with me again, no, she said, sitting beside him on the couch. These days, it's just your phone and business. Do you want me to start paying you consultation fee before you talk to your wife? She forced a laugh, hoping he would laugh too, but Patrick didn't even look up when he said, Marina, please, I have a lot on my mind. That answer caught her. In the early years, Patrick would have pulled her close and told her what was bothering him. But now, he looked like a man carrying secrets he didn't want her to know. Later that night, she rolled over on the bed, stretching her hand to touch him, but Patrick stood up and carried his pillow to the guest room. Why are you moving again? She asked respectfully. I need space, he replied, not even facing her. And please, don't disturb me with questions. Marina lay awake for hours. She remembered how her friends used to envy her marriage, how they used to call her Madam Enjoyment. Tears stung her eyes as she whispered to herself, God, what is happening in my home? This is not the man I married. She didn't know it yet, but her life was about to take a turn she could never have imagined. The change in Patrick did not come all at once. It was slow, like rain soaking through a roof. Marina first noticed that he no longer asked her if she had eaten. He no longer noticed when she wore a new clothes or changed her look. One Sunday, she came back from the salon with her hair braided neatly, with beads shining at the ends. Before, Patrick would have touched her and said, My wife is glowing. See how beautiful you are. But that day, he didn't even raise his head from his phone. Patrick, Marina called, standing in front of him. Yes, he answered flatly, still strolling. Do you like my hair? She asked, almost shy like a girl seeking approval. He looked up briefly. It is fine. Then he returned to his cream. Marina's smile faded. She went into the kitchen and leaned on the counter, thinking about what was going on. Another evening, she prepared his favorites. She set the table carefully, placed cold water in a glass jug, and even sliced pawpaw for dessert. Patrick ate quietly, chewing slowly with his face showing no joy. When she tried to ask how his day went, he replied with one word, Fine. After dinner, he carried his phone and went straight to the guest room again. This guest room habit became constant. Marina even thought it was temporal. She said maybe business losses that her husband would soon be back, but as the weeks turned into months, the bed they once shared turned into a cold space she slept in alone. She began to count the nights. First, 5, then 10, and then 20. One night she followed him into the guest room and stood at the door. Patrick, what did I do? Tell me if I've offended you so I can apologize. He looked at her with tired eyes. Marina, stop disturbing me. Not everything is about you. I just need space. That answer broke her. She sat on the edge of the bed, fighting tears. The man who once couldn't sleep without holding her now couldn't stand her presence. She stared at him and whispered, "You are not the man I married." Patrick didn't respond. He simply adjusted his pillow and turned his back. From that night, Marina stopped asking questions. She swallowed her pain and told herself maybe things would change. But deep inside, fear was growing. She felt like a visitor in her own marriage. What she didn't know was that Patrick's detachment was not about stress or business. It was the first sign that her life had been secretly marked for something darker. One rainy night, the sound of the downpour beat hard on the roof, while thunder rolled far away. Marina could not sleep. She turned from one side of the bed to the other, staring at the empty space where Patrick used to sleep. Around midnight, she heard his footsteps. The door creaked as he entered the bedroom briefly. He picked his phone from the table and went out again. She knew he was heading to the living room. Patrick had formed the habit of sitting there late into the night, typing endlessly on his phone with a face as stiff as stone. That night, curiosity overpowered fear. She tiptoed quietly after 40 minutes and peeked into the living room. Patrick had fallen asleep on the couch, the phone lying carelessly on his chest. Her heart pounded. She crept closer, carefully lifted the phone and unlocked it with his finger. Marina's hand shook as she strode. At first, she saw normal things like bank alerts, messages from his friends and business transactions. She almost gave up, telling herself she was overthinking. Then her eyes caught a file under documents. The title froze her blood. Order of funeral service for Mrs. Marina Patrick. Her fingers trembled. She tapped it open. The screen lit up with a glossy design. Her own face stared back at her. Above it, the bold letters read, "Celebration of Life." Below was her full name, Mrs. Marina Chizoba Patrick. The date written was only 2 weeks away. Her throat tightened. She scrolled down quickly. Hymns were listed. "Nearer, my God, today, and when peace like a river." There was a biography section already typed. She was a devoted wife and a kind friend to many. She dropped the phone on the table and she felt the room spin. A cold sweat broke out on her forehead. She wanted to scream, but fear gripped her throat. With shaking hands, she pulled out her own phone and snapped photos of every page. Then she placed Patrick's phone back carefully on his chest. He shifted slightly but did not wake up. She tiptoed back into the bedroom and locked the door. She sat on the floor hugging herself, rocking back and forth. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered over and over, "Am I already dead? Am I living with my own killer?" That night, she didn't close her eyes till morning. The rain stopped, but inside her, a storm had just begun. Morning broke with the sound of roosters from a neighbor's compound. Marina had not slept a wink. She sat on the edge of the bed, her eyes swollen from tears. The image of that funeral program was born into her mind. Every hymn, every color, and every line of the order of service mocked her. She heard Patrick moving around in the living room, whispering as if nothing was wrong. When he walked into the bedroom to pick a clean shirt, Marina forced a smile. Her heart was hammering, but she swallowed her fear. "Good morning," she said. Patrick glanced at her. "Morning," he replied casually, buttoning his shirt. She searched his face for any sign of guilt, but he looked calm. Just too calm, like a man at peace with his dark secrets. He picked up his car keys and then turned to her. "Cook something light for dinner and don't bother bringing lunch for me." Marina nodded, but when he left, she collapsed on the bed, holding her chest. Later that day, she prepared rice and stew, and when Patrick returned in the evening, she served him cheerfully, cracking small jokes. He chuckled faintly, but she noticed how he avoided her eyes. As he ate, she studied him carefully. How could a man plan the funeral of his own wife and sit across the table from her as though nothing was wrong? When Patrick retired to the guest room, she locked herself in their bedroom. She was restless. She wanted to go meet him, hold up her phone and shout. I saw everything, but something told her to wait, that to act too soon might cost her life. So she prayed, whispering words that came from the depths of her soul. God, please don't let me die like this. Protect me from whatever Patrick had planned. Days passed and she carried her secrets like a heavy stone in her chest. Outside, she smiled and played the good wife, serving food, ironing clothes and keeping the house tidy. But inside, her heart was breaking. Every time Patrick's phone rang, she jumped up. Every time he looked at her for too long, she shivered and she began locking the bedroom door at night, hiding her phone under the pillow. Neighbors still admire her calmness, unaware that she was living in the shadow of death. Only Marina knew she was dining and sleeping with a man who had already written her farewell. She knew she couldn't carry the burden alone because the funeral program started haunting her sleep and the fear of being silenced pushed her to act very fast. One day, after Patrick left for the supposed business meeting, Marina picked her handbag and quietly slipped out. She boarded a keke to her elder brother's house in GRA. Desmond was a tall man in his early 40s, a civil engineer with a serious face but a soft heart for his sisters. The moment Marina entered, he knew something was wrong from her countenance. Marina, what is it? You look like you have seen a ghost, he asked, pulling her to sit down. Marina's hands trembled as she brought out her phone. Brother, I want to show you something, but please don't shout. She opened her gallery and showed him the photos of the funeral program. Desmond's eyes widened, his lips parting in disbelief. He zoomed in, checking every detail. Her name, her picture, the dates and the hymns. Jesus Christ! Marina, where did you get this? Her voice shook. From Patrick's phone. I caught him asleep and I checked. Brother, am I already dead? Desmond gripped her shoulders. No, you are not. Not while I am alive. But this, it is no ordinary. At that moment, their younger sister Ijoma walked in. She was a teacher, small in stature but sharp like a blade. Desmond showed her the photos. She gasped, covering her mouth. Marina broke down with tears. I don't know what to do. I can't comfort him. I am afraid he will kill me before I say the second word. But if I stay quiet, I don't know when they will strike. Ijoma said to her, Listen to me. You are not alone. From today, we will follow Patrick without his knowledge and we will dig deep until we know why your name is on this program. Desmond nodded. Yes. No police yet and no noise. We will just move quietly. That same week, he began making calls to people he knew were printing presses around Enugu. Ijoma, with her sharp nature, started asking questions and making inquiries from people who often heard gossip about wealthy families. Piece by piece, things started falling into place. One printer admitted a tall man had come late at night to print a program for a special burial. Another source whispered that Patrick's family in the village had long been known to serve a deity that demanded someone whenever a new heir took over. Marina listened to all of this with tears in her eyes. The puzzle was fitting together. Patrick's sudden distance and his coldness, he wasn't just tired of her, he was simply preparing her as a sacrifice. From that day, her fear turned into a quiet determination. She began to move with caution, acting as though she knew nothing. The date on the funeral program kept ringing in her head like a church bell. Just 5 days away. Every time she remembered it, her stomach tightened. She knew that if she sat quietly and waited, that she would surely become his prey. So one day, after Patrick left for work, she quickly packed a small bag. She slipped in some clothes and went straight to her parents' house. Desmond and Ijoma agreed to hide her in their father's house while they prayed and planned the next step. For a few days, things were calm. Patrick called her repeatedly, but Marina refused to pick up, and this made him so angry. And he said, "I know what to do to drag you back home." So one evening, as she sat with her mother in the living room, Marina suddenly began to laugh uncontrollably. It was so loud, strange, and almost painful. She clutched her stomach, rolling on the floor and shouting, "They are calling me, oh! They said I must come and sit down on that seat." Her mother screamed and heard her. Neighbors rushed in. Some said she had gone mad and others shook their head, whispering that maybe she had eaten the forbidden food of the land. Desmond was called and he came rushing home. When he tried to calm her, Marina pushed him away, shouting, "Don't stop me! They are waiting for me." Her eyes were wide this time. That night she didn't sleep. She wandered around talking to herself, sometimes singing funeral hymns that nobody had taught her. At dawn, she poured water on the ground, whispering, "Drink, drink, oh, before they drag you out of this place." The family knew immediately that this was not ordinary. Patrick had failed to bring her by himself, so he had turned to his people in the village and they had sent the spirit of madness upon her, hoping that the family would get tired and call him to come and carry his sick wife. And once he got her back, they will lead her straight to the deity as a willing sacrifice. But Marina's family was not ready to hand her over. By the next day, things got worse. Marina walked to the gate barefoot and tried to open it. If not for Desmond, who heard the sound and rushed out, she would have wandered into the streets. "Where are you going, Marina?" he asked, holding her firmly. "They called me," Marina murmured. "They said the grave is ready, that if I don't come, they will drag me." Desmond held her tightly, tears running down his face. "God forbid. You are not going anywhere, my sister, not while we are still here." Patrick waited and waited, but nobody called him, so he came on his own accord, acting unconcerned. When Desmond confronted him, he only shrugged. "Maybe he's stressed. Allow me to take her to the hospital." But Desmond knew better, so he told him to give him time to think about it. That night, as Marina laid in bed murmuring strange words in her sleep, Desmond and their mother held hands and prayed violently, and Marina got stabilized for a while. It was only after then that Desmond called for a meeting. Patrick walked in 30 minutes late, wearing a spotless white shirt and holding his car keys loosely. He greeted briefly and sat down with an air of indifference. "Patrick," Desmond began, "we called you here to clear the air. My sister has been sick, but this is not ordinary, and we have reasons to believe that you know something about it." Patrick leaned back. "What are you saying? Marina is my wife. You all know I love her, and I've done everything for her, so why would I want her sick?" Ijoma opened Marina's phone and placed it on the table. "Look at this, sir." She went through the photos Marina had taken, the funeral program with Marina's pictures, her name, the dates, and the order of service. Suddenly, the room fell silent. Patrick's jaw tightened, but he kept his composure. "This is nonsense. Where did you even get this?" Desmond's voice rose. "From your phone, Patrick, so don't you dare deny it." Patrick faked annoyance and so he hit the table. "Don't tell me you don't know that anything is possible in this age and time. This is purely AI. Stop lying," Marina's mother cried. "Patrick, for heaven's sake, we trusted you with our daughter. We gave her to you as a wife. Is this how you repay us, and to plan her burial while she's still alive?" Marina finally spoke, her voice trembling. "Patrick, I saw it with my own eyes. Hymns and biography. This This is not any AI. Tell me what I did to you to deserve such. Patrick stood up, his eyes darted around the room, dark and restless. For a moment, he looked like a man cornered. You people will not trap me with foolish talk, he spat. If you think you can accuse me without proof, then go ahead. But just know that I don't have time for this. He turned and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. As he left, he went to shoot more spiritual arrows. That reaction was all the proof we needed, Desmond said. He is guilty and he knows exactly what he is doing. Ijoma added, then we will not wait for them to strike. From tonight, we'll take this battle to God and the right authorities. If we planned Marina's burial, then we will attend his own instead. The next day, Marina's father's house turned into a battlefield, not with weapons but with prayers. Desmond had gathered a small group of trusted prayer warriors. Marina laid on the mat in the middle of the room. She was restless, turning from side to side and muttering strange words. At exactly midnight, the pastor clapped his hands. Everybody rise. It is time for this whole nonsense to return to its sender. The room echoed with shouts of amen. They began to sing choruses, their voices rising and falling like waves. As the singing grew louder, Marina suddenly screamed. She kicked the mats and tried to run, her hands stretched out as though someone was dragging her. They are pulling me into the grave. Leave me alone, she shouted. Her mother rushed forward weeping, but the pastor stopped her. Don't cry, Mama. You are making the devil happy with your tears. They surrounded Marina, laying hands on her, praying in tongues and declaring scriptures. At 2 a.m., she vomited black threads, thin as hair and coiled like worms. The people gasped, but the pastor kept on praying. Every arrow of death, go back to the sender. A strong wind blew through the room. It felt as if something invisible had entered and was fighting back, but the prayers only grew louder. By 4 a.m., Marina suddenly went still. She opened her eyes slowly, looking around with confusion. Where am I? She whispered. You are safe, my daughter, her mother said, hugging her tightly. You will not die but live in Jesus' name. For the first time since the attack, she slept peacefully, and when she woke up, her brother looked at her and said quietly, the battle is not over, but the tide had turned, so please don't stop praying. Meanwhile, in a battle Patrick's village, the full moon had risen, and with it came the call Patrick could no longer ignore. His people had reminded him for months. You are the first son, and it is your turn to sit on the stone seat. That night, Patrick dressed in white and drove alone to the forest shrine. He carried a calabash filled with palm wine, a cock tied with rope, and a sealed black pot he had been given to deliver. The air in the grove was heavy. Tall trees formed a roof that was so thick that even the moon struggled to shine through. The shrine was an ancient hut with symbols of chalk. Inside sat the elders, and one of them said, with his voice echoing strangely, You are late. The seat had been waiting, so where is the offering? Patrick swallowed hard. His throat was dry. She is not ready. As he said it, the priest's face darkened. The gods do not wait. A seat without a sacrifice is a seat without power. Drums began to beat from inside the hut, although no drummers were visible. The sound was deep like a heartbeat from the ground itself. Patrick's hands trembled. He placed the calabash before the priest, but the man shoved it aside. The gods want flesh, no drink. At that same hour, Marina's family was deep in another midnight prayer. Patrick tried to speak, but his tongue grew heavy. He looked at the stone seat before him, the very throne his ancestors had sat on, and the priest gestured. Sit! His legs moved on their own. He lowered himself onto the cold stone, and at once his body jerked up violently. His eyes bulged and his mouth opened in a scream that never came. The cock he brought crowed loudly, broke free from its rope and flew out into the night. The calabash cracked into two. The black pot in his hand chattered, releasing a foul stench. In that moment, Patrick's heart stopped. He fell forward, his white clothes stained from the dust of the shrine. The priest stood up slowly, shaking his head. The pit does not go hungry. If you fail to bring a sacrifice, then you will become the sacrifice. And just like that, the man who had planned Marina's burial became the sacrifice himself. The news came quietly about Patrick's death. The story spread in whispers. Nobody dared to say too much, but everyone knew it was not an ordinary death. Some said his heart failed. Others murmured about the gods he had failed to satisfy. In the weeks that followed, Marina's health began to return. The strange voices stopped. The midnight wanderings ended. She started eating again and started sleeping without fear. Desmond and Ijoma stood by her like pillars. Together they cleared the house of every suspicious object Patrick had left behind. Marina decided not to keep silent, so she began to speak with women anywhere and anytime. She told her story with courage. Marriage without openness is a coffin. When your partner hides things from you, please don't ignore the signs. And if you ever feel unsafe, kindly speak up. Don't wait until it is too late. And that singular act saved so many women from the enemies some of them had married as husbands. Hey besties, how are you all doing? For me, I am doing just fine. You have just seen how Marina escaped the grave her own husband prepared for her. But let me ask you, if you were in her shoes, what will you do? Will you confront your husband immediately, or will you keep quiet and investigate like Marina did? Drop your answers in the comment section, and please don't forget to like, subscribe and share out the story to your loved one. Until I bring another interesting story your way, it's a goodbye from here, and God bless you.